Okay, well, hello and welcome everyone to this wonderful Saturday on the 27th of January. Welcome to Finance Talk. This is your host, Ali Taraftar from Best Credit Resources. This is sponsored by bestcreditresources.com. This is interesting because this is going to be our third week into Finance Talk since we first started our presentations on a weekly basis. And it's become a very, very interesting thing for a lot of people because they go back to our presentations, they ask us a whole lot of questions, and it's really helping put together great value for those who are listening in or tuning in, for example, the first time, and as they're going into their second week or third week or fourth or so on and so forth. And it's good because it allows us to really connect with individuals. It allows us to present information that's really valuable in the world of finance, debt, and real estate. And this talk really is focused around those three core principles and areas. And having personal experiences in each of those categories, I believe that we can help each other take away information that you can make to financially adjust your lifestyle or the things that you can do personally. And one of the benefits of attending Finance Talk, obviously, is that you become more self-aware in those three categories and areas. So it is 102, and on the western side, on the Pacific side, we're looking at 10:02. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to start the presentation. We were waiting for a few people to come, and so at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and start the presentation so that we can get onto the meat of the bone and the main topic and content. So let's get started. Let's get started. Okay, so Finance Talk. Welcome to Finance Talk, right? Third week, January 27th of 2018. So the first question I'd like to answer is who I am. Who I am. My name is Ali Taraftar. I'm actually from Montreal, Canada. Brought up in Manhattan. Did business in New York for a while now. Coming back and forth from Montreal. And I also do business across the world. Many of my clients are in different industries across the world, which is something very, very important. My biggest audience, however, and customer base is in the United States. My biggest audience is in the United States. And the reason why, it's because most of my business was revolve around, being in the U.S. and conducting business in the U.S. and helping customers in that category in the United States in the areas of debt and finance. So this is very, very important. So being from the United States and of course doing business in the United States, the industry of credit and debt is very, very, very interesting because there's a lot of people who can essentially start with nothing and build a huge platform for themselves and benefit. So, United States is truly, okay, it's truly a land of opportunity. It's truly a land of distinct category to be able to start from nothing and take yourself up to where you need to be in a very short period of time. Given that you have discipline and given that you have some sort of, obviously commitment to be able to be successful. And that's what it takes. If that's what it takes, then that's what you need to do. So as an individual in this business, I have multiple categories of business that I do. Global Consulting Inc. is our holding company. We present, multiple brands, of which two of them are solely run and operated by myself, and that's Private Wealth Club, which is a area which I operate for high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals. We deal with family offices who have 10 million, a minimum of assets under management, and it goes high as a couple of $100 billion if necessary. We also have Best Credit Resources, which is our platform for this type of finance talk. And Best Credit Resources is here to offer unique and distinct financial education to help you walk away with value on every talk that we offer. I'm also a highly acclaimed specialized in terms of the world of finance, investment, banking, and business. And this is not a joke because on a weekly basis, I get a lot of requests for consulting. Clients who are willing to pay up to $25,000 to even $50,000 to have a sit through, and we go through there into our business model, and we do idea generation to execution to help them attract a significant amount of capital in their business. And this is perfect match because I have on the other side of my business is where the investors are, right? And of course the capital institutions like financial institutions such as banks, it could be insurance companies, mutual funds, and all sorts. I also authored a book called The United Credit of America, which you can see on the bottom right corner here. You can actually download a copy of this book If you head over to Amazon, Kindle, you need a Kindle app. You can download that. It's absolutely free. I'm pretty sure you know this. So you can have a look through that book. It describes everything that you need to do about financial education, also personal financial planning, strategy, and I also go deep into credit repair. And I believe somebody who's in business, and if you're in business for the first time or if you're just starting out, one of the biggest things you need to do is really separate yourself from your business. And I'm going to talk about that today a little bit as we go into it. And once again, I am the founder of bestcreditresources.com, and we can talk more about that as we go deep into the presentation. So let's move on. So let's begin by talking about what our goal here is in Finance Talk. What our goal here is in Finance Talk. So obviously you've been invited over to come and see this presentation. We are an event-based online gathering. I share a lot of insights, strategies, and important information in the four following worlds. We talk about credit, debt, and real estate investing, but of course, investing in general as well. So a lot of individuals, when they invest in real estate, the mindset of investing in real estate is just looking at a property, putting money in, and just sitting there. There's a lot of components to real estate that you really need to understand, and we go deep into such insights, such as my previous presentation, which happened last week. We talk about the pig method. Now, in your mind, you're probably thinking of a dirty animal rolling in mud, right? That's not the one I'm talking about. Pig means personal investment goals, and we created an entire presentation around that philosophy and how you can benefit by just looking through it and really understanding it. And that talk actually was very informative. And every time I do a presentation like this, I actually turn it into a blog post in the website so you can take away information and read it in your own time. So if you want to read on that, you can go to bestcreditresources.com, and then you're going to see our blog, and then all the information is going to be presented there. Another component of this presentation is that I actually help listeners get a clear picture and idea of what to do in situations when they need funding, which is very important, how to fix their credit, as well as what to look out for in terms of real estate investing. As I mentioned, investing is a very, very interesting topic, and there are so many different factors and components that crisscross the paths of investing in real estate. So our goal obviously is to build a community where open discussions take place. I can answer some questions with my audience, and some of the things that I do is, for example, by the end of this presentation, if you ask me a question or if you forward me an email with a lot of questions, I take the best ones, and to the benefit of the community, I answer them in the following presentations. So for this talk specifically, we're going to be discussing some interesting ideas on business credit. So let's go over to the next slide. So interestingly enough, here are the benefits of you being here today and the benefits of Finance Talk in general, whether it was last week or the next week or the week after that. So one of the biggest takeaways from this is that you get more informed, right? And being more informed, you make more educated financial decisions in the areas of credit, debt, and like I said, real estate investing. We talk about issues that you have, and like I said, I answer those issues and questions by providing a solution and possibly sharing it in the future presentations when you're here. And the reason this is important is because people may have different problems that they're dealing with in terms of credit, debt, or even collections, sometimes even in real estate investing. And it's important that I will answer those questions in such a way that the community benefits and not just yourself in a very valuable manner, okay? We're also an open community. We're individuals who are eager to learn and contribute. So if you have something to offer, you come in, you walk away with obviously value, but at the same time, you can ask me some questions that you're not sure of and say, okay, well, Ali, I have this question. You email it to me. Can you help us go through this information? So this is the only time that you'll actually have access to me, openly discussing certain issues, whether it be in debt, credit, real estate, or in general investment banking or finance. So it's behind the scenes information. I'm not afraid to, lift the curtains and show you what's behind the scenes and reveal information that may be to a lot of bankers out there. Hey, look, you shouldn't be doing this. We're getting paid for that, right? So this is the reason I put this together, because I offer different type of things that I do personally on my business side, but I don't need to go ahead and just keep it to myself. And certain things that I offer here, there's a reason why I wrote the book. It's because I wanted you to walk away with valuable information so that you can implement it yourself, okay? So today, we're going to be talking about building business credit and borrowing without any personal guarantees. Once again, that's building business credit so you don't have to borrow using personal guarantee. It's a very sensitive topic. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people start a business, and what ends up happening is when they start their business, they think that it's okay to co-sign or take loans in their own name on behalf of their business, and then they start pouring in all sorts of money. And what happens is when you use your personal assets and your personal credit to fund your business goals or objectives and mission, what happens now is you're trapped individually. So if anything happens in your business and creditors come after you, they're not going to come after your business because you are the co-signer, you are the guarantor, right? And when you are a guarantor, you're liable. So anything that you have, whether it be a home, your car, anything that you personally own, is in jeopardy. Okay, anything that you personally own, when you co-sign for a business loan or credit, you are in jeopardy. So our talk today is really to differentiate that. It's really to put you in a position that you don't have to worry about personally guaranteeing anything and just having the business borrow on its own merits and obviously on its own credit. So the first thing we need to obviously identify is how to differentiate identification. How to differentiate identification. So business entities in general, once they're formed, they become a wholly separate person or entity. Now, this is true for LLCs. This is true for corporations. So LLCs, obviously, they're pass-through entities. When you register them, you pay your own taxes. But at the end of the day, whatever that LLC owns, it's its own entity. Now, when you think about financing business opportunity, you always want to separate your personal assets from your business. This is a very, very important talk because a lot of individuals who are financing, like I said, their business, they're just thinking it's okay to put their personal signatures and their SSNs and make credit applications using their personal names or personal credit files. You have to be very careful. Okay, you have to be very careful when it comes to that. It's important that you build your own personal credit. Yes, it's true, but you have to simultaneously build business credit. Now, when it comes to doing business, keep your personal credit separate. Work on your personal credit for the merits of owning, like for example, a home, signing for a mortgage. You can have all that, okay? But when it comes to doing business, please be careful. Have solid business credit, build it on your own, but at the same time, don't mix personal and business credit on one file. It's a very dangerous thing to do, all right? Once you have business credit, when you establish it, there are endless possibilities. You can do so many different things. And one key takeaway in business credit is financial institutions, vendors, and suppliers, including other creditors, they're very generous when it comes to extending credit to businesses. So I'll give you an example right now, okay? Let's say you go to Dell Computers and you want to sign on a personal name and you want to get a personal line of credit with Dell to buy their electronics or to buy their computers or whatever they have, accessories. Sometimes what happens is you can have an 800 credit score and you go into Dell and they'll probably give you a line of credit for, let's say, $5,000. You can walk away with, let's say, $5,000 worth of equipment and computers and things like that. But let's say if you sign for business, stable business credit, you're just starting off. It doesn't have to be that you have to be in business for 2 years or 3 years, but you can have, let's say, a business you just started off like a few months ago and you're building your business credit and you apply for Dell. They'll look at that and they say, well, this business is probably going to hire employees. It's going to pay its taxes, right? It's going to declare expenses, and it's probably going to continuously do business with us for a long time. So in general cases like that, Dell will probably extend you 10 times the credit line. So it could be, I'm not saying exaggerated, 10 times you're going to get $50,000 line of credit, but it's possible you get 20,000. It could be 5 times, could be, 3 times. It could be $15,000 of business credit. But what I'm saying is they're a lot more lenient and more generous. Okay, they're a lot more lenient and more generous when it comes to you basically trying to sign up for business credit. So you have to very, very, carefully look at the scenario and say, what are my business goals and objectives? What am I going to be doing in the next short few months? And really utilize that to the best of your ability to work on business credit. So that's what we're going to talk about today and really go deep into the concept of how to do it the right way. So a lot of you have questions, right? And this is what I'm answering here. So I'm going to answer some questions today on this presentation that I want you to take away. And one of the biggest questions I have is, look, Ali, I just started my business. How can I qualify for credit? So once again, that's how can I qualify for credit if I just started my business? So one of the things is business credit is something that can be established even if for entrepreneurs who are just starting up. Okay, you don't have to worry about, oh my God, I just started. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. I'm already at a disadvantage. Don't worry about all that. If you just started your business, you can still build your credit. And generally it takes time, right? When you want to establish huge lines of credit or get tier 1 revolving accounts, or you want to have, like, let's say, big accounts, it typically takes anywhere between 5 to 6 months. Sometimes when you're doing it alone, it can take longer. So you have to start somewhere. Okay, the biggest thing about business credit is you have to start somewhere. So for most businesses, okay, business credit starts with just basic vendors who are willing to temporarily extend credit to you on a small tranche. So these are typically called the net accounts, right? There are 30 to 90 days you can take your time to pay, and they're called net 30, net 60, or net 90s. Those are the startup vendors. You want to start with that. When you first start off, these net vendor accounts are the ones that you'll need to work with. So they will report to the 3 major business credit bureaus. The 3 major credit bureaus for business are Experian Business Credit, Equifax Business Credit, and of course, we know Dun & Bradstreet. Okay, yes, it works. And that's why a lot of institutions look at those 3 when it comes to qualifying a credit profile or extending credit to a business. Okay, so far so good? Excellent. So let's move on. So here's another myth that I'd like to solve today. It's a very, very interesting topic because see a lot of individuals who are borrowing money out there, they don't realize what they're doing. And when they think it's okay to, buy shelf corporations and buy corporations that have credit existing on them, it's okay. I'll spend a little bit of money, but I walk out with a lot. So let me demystify that myth for you. So yes, there are shelf companies out there, and almost always they are a scam. Almost always they are a scam, and here is why. So let's say these most so-called companies that have at least 3 years in them, right? They come with original owners. So the original owner built credit on it. They probably signed personally. They build business credit. And are you expecting them to really give up that amount of work, especially established credit, for a fraction of whatever they've established, right? Something does not add up. It does not make sense. So let me give you a question. Would you give somebody your $150,000 in established credit company for a $5,000 check, $10,000 check? Or what about $25,000 check, right? Of course you won't. It won't make any sense. Why on earth would you do that, right? So most financial institutions, here's something that a lot of people out there, they're not really aware of, but most financial institutions, right, when it comes to new signatories, which is you taking over the business, what happens is they reset that. They reset that, including all the creditors out there. It doesn't matter what credit line you take. They're going to say, okay, well, this is new. And then they reset it, right? And they void the credit that's obtained. They start from scratch. So the reason why, it's because when it comes to using other people's credit, it's called fraud. And we know this, unless you're an authorized user, unless you have some sort of authorization to be able to use that, a power of attorney of some sort. So that's why a lot of creditors, it doesn't matter if it's a shelf corp with established credit, when you sign up, you have to make a change order. A change order is basically going across all those creditors that extended credit to that specific company that you're acquiring was considered a shelf corporation. And that change order takes place telling those creditors who extended credit to you that, hey, listen, this new owner is taking over. I'm signing over everything to him. And then they do a revaluation. And when that revaluation happens, your credit is reset based on the merits of who you are personally. Okay, who you are personally. So we have to be very careful when it comes to buying shelf corporations. And I suggest strongly that you reconsider that option if you're ever thinking about doing that. Okay. So today I'm going to give you something that you can take away. And it's important when you're starting business. Okay. It's important when you're starting business. So what do you need to start building business credit when you are new? Okay. What do you need to start building business credit when you are new? So here are the steps that you need to take, okay, to start preparing yourself in order to start applying to new creditors, these net 30s and all the other type of vendors that we're going to be talking about, okay? So the very first step you need to do is you need to incorporate your LLC, okay? Incorporate your LLC. It works best. It's the cheapest way. So you head over to your Secretary of State. Let's say if you're in California, Secretary of State of California, business registration, follow the steps. Sometimes it's true that you have to do a name search to make sure that your LLC's name is not already taken. It costs a little bit, but it's worth the expense. So you do that. And then you find out, okay, well, this business name is not taken. It's not registered yet. And then I can basically go ahead and do it myself. And then you register. So it can take anywhere between 5 to 10 business days to complete the registration process. And from that perspective, get the company paperwork and mail. And the next step you want to do is you make sure that you have one business address per company that you register. Now, here's a professional tip, okay? You can use your home address. You can actually use your home address because it allows you to do that. Most companies and creditors out there, they know that a lot of individuals have their home-based businesses, consulting businesses, marketing businesses. So nowadays, it's okay. And creditors are actually very lenient if they see your home-based address. But you can use that, okay? But you make sure that if you're registering multiple companies, you only have one address per one company, because most of the creditors that you're going to apply with without any personal guarantee, they'll identify those individually. But if they see that you have the same address for, let's say, 3 to 4 companies, the possibility of you not getting credit on the other ones is very, very likely, okay? Also, you want to make sure that you obtain your EIN number. Obtain your EIN number from the IRS. You just call the IRS, and basically you get on the line where they give you EIN number. And then from that perspective, you just tell them, look, we are, just registering a company. I just need to obtain an EIN number. And can I please get an EIN number for my company? So they give it to you. It's free. When you call the IRS, you get an EIN number for free. But you make sure that you have a registered company. Okay, so make sure you have a registered company when you're getting your EIN number. And of course, you need to be professional, right? When it comes to applying for business credit, you need to be professional. So that means you need to set up a toll-free number with a voicemail. There's a very cheap service out there. I personally use this. I'm not affiliated with them or anything. I'm not getting paid to advertise them, but they are very, very good at what they do. They have over a couple 100,000 businesses right now that are using it. It's super good. You can track your calls, you can record all that good stuff. Okay. So you head over to callfire.com. They're called Callfire. So go to callfire.com. And I believe a toll-free number is about $3 a month. It's really cheap, right? And then you pay for minutes. And typically the minutes are like 5 cents a minute. It's not a very expensive package, right? So callfire.com will help you a lot. Will allow you to set up your toll-free number. You can set up a customized voicemail, record yourself or record a professional doing it and then upload the MP3 file on the server. And then basically you can set it up as your voicemail or let's say automated voice response. And then they can basically click through a certain amount numbers and then get and reach you or whatever it is, right? So it's also good if you have multiple departments in your business. Of course, if you're starting off, you may not, but it's good to look professional. So you want to set that up. Also, you need to set up your website. Okay, when it comes to business credit, you need a website because when creditors research your name on the business side, they want to make sure that you're not, just trying to fraudulently apply for credit or whatever, right? So they want to make sure that you actually have a registered business. And one of the biggest thing is they use Google as their best friend. They use Google as their best friend. So sometimes what happens is you actually put a website application, like when you do an application for credit with these vendors, when you're applying for a line of credit or a gas card or a net 30, you can actually put your business website. And that's where it comes in handy. So they can actually directly go to your website and look it up. And you need a professional presence, right? You need a professional presence. So if you're looking to have, and not only do we build a website for you, but we also help you get registered in all the business directories because that's a very, very, daunting task. You can do it yourself. By all means, I'm not trying to, tell you to go with us, but just be careful in which areas you register, like the 401s and all those areas that are very, very major directories. You want to make sure that you register there, have your website. You also want to have a professional email ready. Okay, a professional email is like, let's say your name at yourdomain.com. So we can actually help you set that up. Typically, you can have your emails come to your Gmail if you set it up the right way with the servers and all that. And we handle all that for you. Or if not, then there are instructions out there that you can get online. No problem there. Okay, but you need to have a professional email because sometimes what the creditors do and these vendors is they actually send you confirmation emails and all sorts of things. And one of the things I didn't mention here is it's an important thing to have a fax. A fax, but I didn't mention this. I'm probably going to put it up on the resources section on Best Credit Resources. But the fax is very cheap. It's like $1 for the fax line and then a few cents just to send out or receive. Incoming faxes, I believe, are free, but you need that sometimes to send out fax applications with your name filled out and your business information filled out. Okay. And of course, you need to open a business checking account. You want to open a business checking account. So one of the things you can do is like you go with a major financial institution. You walk in and say, look, I have my business registered. Here are all the Secretary of State documents, the certificate of good standing. And then they basically look through that and they say, okay, perfect. So they'll open your business account. Now, one of the things they'll try to sell you, obviously, is, hey, look, do you need credit for your business and all these type of things? And most people will be basically, okay, well, why not establish credit from the get-go? But one of the big things you have to watch out for when it comes to that is they will ask you for your personal guarantee. So when it comes to opening a business checking account, don't start signing for anything yet. Okay, just have an account, take a deposit, maybe $100, whatever, right? And then just keep it there. So now you're ready to start building your business credit. Okay, now you're ready to start building your business credit. So those are the areas that you want to start with. That's the exact steps that you need to take. These are compliance items on the vendors or creditor list. Make sure you complete that. And once you're done with those type of things, now you're ready to start doing business credit. Okay, now you're ready. So let's go over some of the things that are very, very important when it comes to establishing business credit. Now, you know that you need to do all these things, right? You know that you need to do all these things. But one of the things that a lot of individuals out there, especially companies offering business credit services, won't tell you is how much you are going to be spending on establishing that business credit, right? So let's look at how much you'll be spending overall on establishing your business credit. So, okay, I might be exaggerating on the corporation cost. It could be $250 to $350 or less, right? Or less. It depends on which Secretary of State you go to. And by the way, you can register a company in Delaware and still do business in New York or let's say Texas or even California. It doesn't matter as long as you have a registered agent there. And most services come with a registered agent for the price that I'm just mentioning here. Okay, so those are the typical costs. Now, obtaining your EIN is obviously free. There's no cost to obtaining your EIN. But you can basically call them and call the IRS and say, here's my information, here's my company, I need a tax ID, and they'll give it to you. We know that Callfire, which is the 1-800 number set up, it costs you about $3 a month. But let's say if you want to buy a minutes package to save on that, you can buy like 500 credits for $25. So let's say $28 total, right? And then it's $3 a month thereafter. You also need your website and domain and, of course, hosting to put up your website. Now, hosting and all that kind of stuff may cost you typically around $550 for building your website and, of course, having everything ready. If you go head over to Web 24/7 Solutions, you'll know all that. There are services out there that you can drag and drop. But again, that takes time and you have to create your own copy and all these type of things. But we outsource all that stuff. So we do it for that 550. Also, business checking account. We talked about the business checking account. It's a good idea to have a good faith deposit, typically around $100. You can put more if you want. I know that the Bank of America is rolling out like no fees checking accounts, especially for business and even for personal, for those who have a specified balance. So if you have a little bit of money, let's say $3,000 or even $5,000, you can put it aside, and you don't have to pay the fees. Now, typical fees in business accounts, I don't know, maybe $15, sometimes 10. But you want to go with the major financial institutions for many, many reasons. Okay. And also, as you're building the credit within a period of 6 months, you would probably be spending anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000 with multiple vendors. And I'm talking $50 here, $100 there, because you want to have these credit accounts stay active. You want them reporting, and you want to buy things that'll benefit your business. So at the end of the day, you're probably going to be spending a total of anywhere between $2,500 to $3,000 in anticipated expenses in a realistic manner. Okay. But remember, one major factor here is that the majority of the expenses are monthly, right? So what you're looking at, like the 3,000, it's broken down into, let's say, 6 different months. So at the beginning, you're absorbing a little bit because you have to register your company. You have to get the 1-800 number, the website, but the rest is very, very easy. You're just breaking it down, and you're going on a month-to-month basis, right? You're going on a month-to-month basis. Now, continuing on. So here's a few tips that I want to give you when you're starting in business and when you're doing business credit. Okay, here are some few tips that I believe is going to contribute to your success when you're doing business credit. So one of the things you want to do is be ready and prepare your budget ahead of schedule. Okay, don't go into building business credit with let's say just the cost and say, okay, well, this is what I need. Have a little bit more. Always anticipate these things. Have it in your pocket before you go out there. Sometimes you don't have all of it, but if you know that you're making steady income and it's just like a little bit more that you need to spend every month, then keep that in your schedule. Make sure that you're not really hurting yourself financially to go and establish business credit. Because end result is when you're doing this, you want to do it in a peace of mind. You don't want to stress yourself out, right? As in terms of the paperwork, you want to be organized in terms of paperwork because that's very important. If you don't have all that information, and if you're not organized, if you're looking through paperwork and trying to figure out filings and things like that and scheduling, it's going to hurt your business credit process, like as you're building it, right? Because it's going to be unstable. You're going to be disorganized, and you're going to try to figure out how to do things that it's just going to hurt the process. So please be organized with paperwork. It's very important. And remember, you're building a business. Okay, you're building a business. So don't just do it because you're going to obtain credit. I mean, that's obviously a good goal. You want to establish credit. Maybe you want to do something, but have a business objective, have a goal, right? Take your time as you're building this business credit. Do some research, right, for the 6 months that's going to last, and be sure of exactly what you will do with the credit once you have it, when you position yourself to have it. And then you want to be organized for success, right? Once you have that business credit, you need to have some sort of guideline, maybe a process in which you're going to invest that money back into a process, and you're going to succeed using that process. And when you borrow, one of the biggest things you have to remember, even though you're not personally guaranteeing it, is you have to pay that money back, and you will have monthly expenses, right? So if you borrow $100, you're going to have a couple of dollars a month to pay. If you borrow $1,000, you're going to have X amount of dollars to pay, a couple of tens of dollars, to pay. If you borrow $100,000, you can probably spend a couple of $1,000s a month. So remember, when you're borrowing, you obviously have to pay. It's financial responsibility. You don't want to mess up the relationships with the vendors and creditors that you have when you're establishing business credit, because it hurts your ability to borrow in the future. And I'm talking not just yourself and your business, but let's say if you're trying to start a new business, and these financial institutions, even if you clean up your personal credit report, they have a repository database that they can pull in, and they can look at, okay, well, this person already defaulted on their payments before. It doesn't matter if your credit is clean. It's an internal communications network with financial institutions, and they're very well aware of what's been done or what's not been done. So you want to be very, very careful, tread lightly, treat it professionally, because this is something that you want to establish for yourself, for your wealth, for your well-being, for your financial prosperity, for your financial confidence. So do it the right way, okay? And one of the things is, when you establish business credit, a lot of people prefer to do real estate investing with it, which they can, right? They go into real estate investing, and some of the other people, they just prefer to, do a home-based business. It could be marketing, consulting, or just business services. But because of those realizations in the business world right now, a lot of creditors are very, very lenient if you have a home business address. So it's okay to use a home business address. So here are some of the tips that I just mentioned. So please, if you want to take a snapshot or just write it down, feel free. I will be, for those who register for this presentation, I'll be sending out an email. Every week I send out an email with the actual presentation itself, with the previous presentations and some blog posts that go along with this, okay? So what are we trying to achieve with all this, right? What are we trying to achieve with all this? Obviously, we're focusing on the outcome. Why would you want to do business credit in the first place? Because you want money, right? So the ultimate goal is to have 50,000 in business credit in about 6 months from where you start, right? This is our aim and this is our objective, and we do it really good, okay? Sometimes if you're doing yourself, like let's say you take on the role of building business credit with the information that I provided here when you're set up and you start applying and you start doing your research, it can take 12 months. And this is because you're taking your time, you're doing it the right way. You wanna be very, very careful because you don't want to have any denials or whatever it is, right? So a great business will come with good credit, okay? And especially this is when you're starting off and you're doing all this, it's going to help you jumpstart your success, right? Because a lot of people out there, they have very little money, and that basically decreases their chances of success. They go bankrupt or they cannot operate. But having business credit will help you accelerate your chances of success. So why not spend a little bit more, right? Establish pristine credit. Heck, you can even pay yourself back for all the expenses you've incurred if you're organized in paperwork from the business credit you've obtained, and just let the business accrue that liability and then just build on that because you have a substantially amount of more credit in the ratio of expenditures that you had personally to get the business to that level where you can borrow 50,000 in credit, right? So this is a foundation to attract much more money in the future. So a lot of people won't tell you this, but your business credit is very much a very powerful tool. And let's say if you're looking for $1 million in the future, if you have a business established and you're doing well and you're 2-3 years in and there's prospective interest from investors or other business partners, they say, oh, look, we can take this to market, privately obtain capital, of course, with the proper securities regulations, and we can turn this business into a $2 million a year business, right? So there's an opportunity to do that. But in order to do that, right, you have to have a solid foundation. So you have to spend the first few months or even a year establishing good, pristine business credit, managing your business properly, being successful, right? Of course, because you want to start a business to be successful, not to fail. And then, of course, while doing so, positioning yourself to attract a lot more capital in the future, okay? So that's what the outcome is, what we're aiming for. So let me ask you this, okay? If you've been in this presentation long enough, you already know that I offer significant value. My website has blog posts, things that you can learn. But one of the questions I want to ask is, would you like to have professional and certified assistance when it comes to building business credit? And the reason I say that is because you can cut the timeline, you get the guaranteed outcomes, and of course, we do it the right way so that you don't have to stress, right? So if you want to do that, I want you to check out a presentation that we have set up on bestcreditresources.com/business-credit. Once again, bestcreditresources.com/business-credit. And you go through our presentation. It's about 10 minutes long, okay? You review the criteria of what's needed in terms of building business credit, such as this presentation. You choose the package that you're most comfortable with. So you have 3 options, right? You can do it yourself. You can learn the whole process yourself, which I encourage people to do if they have the time, the patience, and they want to learn. We can also handhold you and help you through everything. And if you're busy, like most entrepreneurs and business owners out there, we can actually do everything for you. We handle all the stuff. The only thing you have to do is once in a while, sign some papers and look at the mail to collect, let's say, your credits accounts or credit cards or lines of credits. So everything is priced in accordance to the services offered. So that's one of the important things that we offer. And I want you to have a look through it and see what you feel is going to be the best type of service for you based on your customized needs, okay? Based on your customized needs. So I hope this presentation was helpful. It's very direct. It's to the point. It's not a lot of information, but I want you to go back through it as I'm sharing this. Those who registered for the Eventbrite link and joining in YouTube Live, this link is not public. It's private, right? It's only for those who actually are on this presentation now. I will email you my previous presentations and this one. If you want, write some notes down, go through them. But for anything related to business talk and finance talk, if you have feedback, comments, questions, please email me, talk@bestcreditresources.com. In the next presentation, I can address some of the questions you have. I'm very open to that. I want to share as much as I possibly can to add as much value to you as possible. Once again, I really appreciate you joining me today on a Saturday morning if you're on the west side, and of course, or on the afternoon being on the east side at Finance Talk, hosted by bestcreditresources.com. Once again, this is Ali Taraftar, your guide and mentor. Thank you for attending. I will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.